Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Loving Goliath, a show where we discuss how to love the monster within. I'm Willow Smith, and I'm here with my dad and co-host, Trainer Ben Smith. Morning.
Oh, Will Smith.
How are you doing today?
Good. I feel like my daughter reprimanded me and said, "We have to be professional. We have to be professional. We can't wear like silly hats or anything."
I
You're
did
very
a little
mean.
bit. I did a little bit. Well, I wasn't reprimanding you. But
Hmm.
I would feel better if we were both wearing silly hats. Like that's my issue. I think that you needed to wear the froggy hat and I needed to wear the cat hat, and then it would even out. But with just me wearing a hat, I have a bear hat too. This one's got little bear ears on it. I
Oh,
know, dude.
I want to be a fox. I want to be a fox. Actually, I want to
Okay,
be, well, yeah, a
what are
fox.
you gonna be? If I get you a hat with fox ears on it, you must wear it for a podcast.
Dude, I wear it every single day, everywhere I go.
All right. Sorry everybody, the podcast today is canceled. I need to spend the rest of the day looking for a fox hat for my father. I feel like I always start the episode with how are you? And I remember once you were like, "Why do you ask me how I am?" I'm like, "I'm always good every single day." Now, here's the thing. I want to justify myself a year later. We and our audience having a conversation, and I would feel weird starting the conversation not asking, "Oh, how's it going? How are you?" Like that's one of the things I love most about this podcast is it has always felt like we're just having a conversation. We've got our friends around us. We're like chit-chatting and we're just talking about whatever needs talking about. And it's part of my conversational flow. It's just like, "How are you?"
So I got to ask you a question. It's hard for me to be objective. It might be hard for you too, but do you think our conversations in real life are that much different than what we talk about, like the way we talk on the podcast?
Um, Slightly, but only in that our conversations in real life will be like, "You need to believe in yourself more." And I'll be like, "Yeah, okay." like, like it feels a lot more like you're my dad in real life. Does that make sense? You're like, "You can do anything you put your mind to. You just have to do it." And I'm like, "Yeah, okay, I'm gonna go play video games, dad." Whereas here I'm like, "Oh my gosh, you're so right, Trainer Ben Smith. Wow, I really agree." And in real life, I'm like, "Whatever, you're my dad." Is that a
That's
bad
true.
confession?
That's true. On here, it's like, yeah, Trader Matt Smith, that's great advice. As soon as you come
Wow.
on.
Yeah. Oh my gosh, you're such a sage, Trainer Ben Smith. Wow. And then you try to tell me this stuff in real life, and I'm like, I've literally heard this for 30 years. Thank you.
Would it be the best though if we're like got off the air, we're just like, I hate you too, and we're yelling at each other and this and that. And then we get on air, we're like, hi, loving
Oh
God.
my gosh, my father, I haven't seen you in a whole week. Wow, it's so good to see you again. Yeah, we're putting on an act for the audience. That would actually be really crazy and really funny. I would enjoy that.
Yeah, but you know what is crazy about that is I've seen so many over so many years, so many psychologists and psychiatrists and self-help people who are kind of like that. They're just like you meet them in person, it's like you're nothing like like I thought
Yeah.
you'd be. You're all stressed and angry and like
Yeah. I will say I do think that like even though in real life you're much more my dad than on the podcast because obviously this is a podcast, there's other people involved. um I can't just treat you like my dad. But you and I are pretty much the same in real life. I mean, you're exactly the same. I think I'm a little bit quieter in like face-to-face conversations, but for the most part, I mean, we're the same people. We believe the same things. When I get off the air and I talk to my boyfriend about this podcast, my opinions will stay the same, my thoughts will stay the same. Like we are exactly. And I don't think a lot of times when people say that, I feel like they're what they're presenting is so like Mr. Beast-esque, where it's like, "I'm altruistic and I'm a philanthropist." Have you seen that, by the way? Did you see anything about Beast games yet?
mm.
Do you even know what I'm talking about?
I know of it, but
Okay, I watched the first episode with my boyfriend. Dog, we might need to do an episode just on that.
oh yeah.
It's insane. It's insane. I like, and I might have a really maybe my perspective is not popular. Maybe I have an unpopular opinion on this, but literally they get together a thousand people that are like, I could really use $1 million, like, or it's like 10 million or something. Oh my god, like this would get my family out of debt, or this would blah 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 blah. They put them all on platforms, and then when they lose, they just drop poor people down a chute. They just get rid of them, throw them down a garbage disposal. I'm like, this is insane. We've got a billionaire standing in front of everybody saying, here's $10 million. What will you do for it? Oh, you're crying. That's great television. Bye bye. Down the chute you go. It's so dystopian. I've never seen anything that made me feel so concerned. Like, it was
Really?
really weird to see. Yeah.
Who are the actors in it?
It's there are no actors.
What are you
Like, this is
talking
a
about?
it's a reality TV show.
Oh, no kidding, eh?
Yeah. So they just got a bunch of people that they were like, hey, do you want to do a game show for $10 million? And they were like, yeah, I would love to win $10 million. And then, yeah, it's just reality. Like, it's a game show. It's not acted.
That's crazy.
Yeah. Yeah. If you get a chance to see anything about it, I think I would be interested to hear your perspective on it.
Yeah. Wow. Huh.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, I'll definitely check it out. You have to remind me probably. I have so many things I'm supposed to check out.
Well, get to it. What are you doing? Recording a podcast about breaking free of societal expectations?
Yeah, and then napping.
Yeah, it's true. It is 12:30. It's almost your nap time.
I know societal expectations would be like, you gotta work 12 hours a day, every day. And I actually, truthfully, I actually am really focused on work right now. So I am working like 12, 12 hours a day or 13 hours a day, but it's not really work. And I'm really super into what I'm doing. So, but
Yeah.
but normally, yeah, I've been napping 12, 13 hours a day.
Yeah. And like, to be fair and to be on topic, you have always been that way. And that was something that changed my perspective about the way I work as well. Cause I used to shame myself a lot for not being on it all the time. I was like, all right, I'm on the clock from 9 to 5. So from 9 to 5, I need to be in it and I need to be working and I need to be like productive every second of the day. And then I'd look over at you and you'd be like, I'm gonna take a nap. I'm gonna sit outside and watch the waves for a bit. I'm not really feeling it right now. Well, I guess I'm just gonna hang out. Okay, now I'm feeling it. And then you're keyed in, you're loving what you do. You're so like in half the amount of time, you're so much more productive because you took the time to be like, you know what? This is not working right now. I'm bashing my head against the wall, but I'm going to come back to this when I'm ready. And when I'm ready, I'm going to absolutely blow it out of the water. You've always been like that. And that really empowered me to have the patience and understanding with myself to go, you know what? I'm really torturing myself with this right now. I It's okay if I don't do this second because I know that as soon as I am able to do it, I'm going to knock it out of the park. Easy peasy. But so many of us, and I think like I would say men especially because there is that pressure of like putting food on the table, being the breadwinner, like having money so that women like you, like we talked about in the last episode. That like there is no time to say, oh, I'm not really passionate about this, or I'm not really feeling this, or this isn't working for me. Like you just have to keep hustling. There is no other option. It feels like sometimes. Um, but I mean, the way that you exist in the world is so much more impactful if you're able to reconnect with that part of yourself that says, okay, let's do this, you know?
Mhm. Well, I think so much of it is about, and I mean, we've talked about self-assurance, but I mean, let's break it down even more, like self-awareness, because I think I'm just a very self-aware person, and I think people, um, just in general, should try to um, become more self-aware. Like, what is the purpose of this? I mean, you're born and you're going to die, and the gap in between, what is that going to be about? Is it going to be about just living up to societal expectations, like what's expected of you? I have to get a job, I have to go to college, I've got to do this, I've got to earn this much money, and got to do this. If you're living in that, it's hard to be like, and you don't have the self-awareness to say, well, is this working for me? Is this what I value? Is, am I putting my time in the right place in this limited amount of time that I have that's called my life? Um, and so, I mean, I think self awareness is so huge when it comes to breaking free of those societal expectations that may not work for you, that probably don't work for you because at least not as a whole, like not
Mhm.
in their totality. Because how could it? How could it?
Yeah.
It's outdated and it's for the masses. But I mean, there's what is it, 9 billion people on this planet now. Like, how are you going to do a blanket statement about what's of value or what how you should be spending your time? I mean, that's ridiculous, right? You need to have the self awareness to to find your own rhythm and to follow your own kind of guidance about what's right for you. And if you do that, then you become so much more efficient because when you do something, it's because you want to and you're inspired to do it, and you're not doing it because you have to, and you're just punching the clock, right? And I
Yeah.
mean, again, I mean, you've seen it with me, right? Like I have absolutely no problem sitting on the beach or whatever. But like we just came back 2 weeks ago from 2 months in Mexico, and I mean, there's been plenty of times I spent, weeks in Mexico just basically hanging out, just talking to people, because I didn't really have that much that I was like really engaged in. But this
Mhm.
time, I was like, I was working. I was just
Yeah.
working. I was up doing my little. I always chill out, no matter where I am, and no matter what I'm doing, whether I'm on vacation or not. The beginning of every day is always just to kind of ground myself, stretch, do those simple routines and rituals that I have done for like coming on the decades now. But after that, it's like, okay, I got things I want to do, but I'm doing it because I want to. So I'm at the computer, I'm working, I'm doing whatever it is, right? And then I'll like, okay, I got to get up, I got to go for a walk, or I want to go for a workout or whatever. But everything I'm doing is based on just on how I'm feeling and how what like how inspired I'm feeling because and so it's super efficient, right? And I'm getting so
Yeah.
much done, and I've always basically been like that. I mean, I wasn't always super aware, but as I've grown into it, trusted myself and trusted only in my self awareness, um, and that self assurance, just then I could just follow the rhythm. And when you're in it, it's so exciting, it's so fun. And if you're not in it, why bash your head against the wall?
Yeah. Yeah, it's true. And I think that's true of a lot of things as well. Like not necessarily only work, but like, well, I guess I guess my example was also going to be work, but this is something that my boyfriend and I talked about as well recently, but something that I had to kind of start telling people, and this was like a self-aware discovery for me. Like, and I've known it, but I didn't know that I could say it. And I hate sitting in meetings. I find it really hard to hear people when I'm focused on making eye contact because there is the expectation that if you're listening, you'll be making eye contact. And if you're not listening, you won't be making eye contact. A lot of people, like with ADHD or autism, it's so much easier to be looking elsewhere or doing, like doodling or scribbling or whatever. Um, to actually listen than to be focused on like if I'm focused on showing you like oh I'm listening wow that's really good it's so much harder to actually hear and process what people are saying so I had to finally just in my meetings be like um like I can't listen I can't process this information and pretend that I'm looking at you so like if my camera's off, it's because I want to be able to listen. If I'm looking elsewhere, if my eyes are like floating around, it's because I'm listening and I'm processing. But being able to actually tell people how you process their information allows you to actually engage with people in a way that you may not have felt that you could because you were so focused on fitting into these societal roles or fitting into these expectations of like you have to look like this to show me that you're listening. You just have to be able to say that doesn't work for me. Here's how I can make that happen for myself and whatever that is in whatever situation. It doesn't have to be the listening thing, it can be anything. But recognizing that about yourself and then having the confidence in yourself to say, you know what, I want to I want to work with you and here's what works for me. And if that's cool with you, I feel like I can be so much better this way. And like it, yeah, it can be uncomfy and it can be weird, but once you start doing that for yourself, once you start advocating for the ways that you learn, the ways that you process, the ways that you love, the ways that you work, all these different things will start falling into place because your brain is finally able to work the way you need it to work. Your body's working the way you need it to work, your heart, all of these things are working together to actually give you a fulfilling life and allow you to process the world the way that you need to instead of struggling time and time again to just be who you think you're expected to be. Who you're expected to be is the truest, best version of yourself. That's all you need to be. So, what can you do to make that happening? To make that happening? To make that happen.
Well said.
Up to the end there, yeah.
That's the bottom line, right?
Yeah.
And again, that's something that comes with practice, right? Where you have that self assurance and that ease and that faith that you can just kind of, yeah, just trust yourself with all these different things, and yeah, finding what works for you in every situation, asking for what you need, setting up things, like just breaking free from societal expectations, which is what we're talking about today. I mean,
Yeah.
it just it all comes down to that. And the same thing with like, um when you talk about masculinity and redefining masculinity, again, having that self-assurance and that confidence to just be who you want to be as as a person in the world, whether it's a man or a woman or however you want to define yourself, but just that confidence of just,
Mm-hmm.
being able to, yeah, just to embrace, who you really want to be, solid in the world. And I mean, I don't know. You can't say enough about the self-awareness and the confidence. And again, it comes back to that ease, being like, what do you care what somebody else, thinks about you, right? If you love yourself and you love you and you're happy with your decisions and things like that. I mean, that's a trap that so many young men that I've worked with on construction sites or wherever, right? I see them in the gym. They fall into that trap of just like, they're doing these things because they feel they need to do that, but it's just not really feeling they're not really feeling it. I can just see it, right? You can see
Mm-hmm.
it in the anxiety, you can see it in their stress levels, you can see it in their aggravation. It's just, yeah.
Can I ask you, and this is slightly off topic, but I want to ask you a question, and it is how, like, if I'm one of these men on the job site and you're like, loving yourself is so important, how do you grow to love yourself when you know that you're a flawed person? Like for you, for like your own experience, you know that you're a flawed person, like in whatever ways that you are. How do you go on to love yourself when you're like, well, I'm so flawed. Like it's so hard for us to look past our own flaws. How does one find self-love? Do you find it despite flaws? Do you find it because of flaws? Like for the young men on the job site that are like, what do you mean, Ben, to just love myself? Myself is not good enough.
I would love to talk about that because again, like people, and again, it took me a long time to understand this. So I love the fact that I could talk about this, but what are your flaws? Like, what are your flaws? Like,
Mm,
ask yourself, what are your flaws? Are your flaws that you're I mean, there's countless things that you could call a flaw. Your flaw could be that you don't work hard enough. Your flaw could be that you work too hard. Your flaw could be that you spend too much time on the job site. Your flaw could be that you rush to get off the job site. Your flaw could be that you spend so much time with your family when you should be working. Your flaw could be that you spend so much time working, but you need to spend more time. Everything is has opposing sides to it, right? So
mm-hmm,
you just have to you have to redefine your flaws, right? That's what I did. That's why I'm so self assured because I'll tell you what my flaws are. I'll tell you some of my flaws. Some of my flaws are that I really, really, really have a hard time learning, um, like math and English. I have a hard time learning what do you call like math and science? What are those kind of like types of learning called? It's not
Um,
conceptual. It's
I would call it logic-based learning, or not logic-based. It's like yeah, I actually have no idea.
yeah, well, like one of my flaws is I have a really hard time with math. I have I have a really hard time even though I can write really well and I'm a good writer and I can write scripts and I can write books and this and that, my diction, people have always said about my diction, I need to work more on my diction. I don't speak that well. So I'm well aware of my flaws. I have plenty of flaws. But to me, I flip it all around. It's like, yeah, I don't speak that well. I'm not that good at math, but as a kid in grade one, I started getting put in special classes, and yet I graduated. So like I'm a champion, you know, and whatever. I have this huge background of trauma and stuff like that. But it's like, dude, I'm so tough. Like who I don't believe that anybody I don't believe that anybody who's been through all the trauma that I've been through would be as happy as me. I mean, I shouldn't say I don't believe that anybody, but I haven't seen anybody who's consistently happy, upbeat, appreciative of life, just can look back on their life and go like, I'm so thankful for my childhood. I'm so thankful for getting beat up every day. I'm so thankful for being like expelled from here and there and like having to push my dad's beat up old car to get it started every day because we're so broke. I'm so thankful for all that stuff. I'm like, I love the fact that I'm that resilient. I'm so great at like it's like, is it good or is it bad? It's all how you shape it. So to anybody on the job site or whatever, I would just say, you just gotta keep saying, well, why don't I feel good? Well, I don't feel good because I'm overweight, let's say. Yeah, but you know what? What a great what a great challenge to lose the weight. I know that I could do it. I know I could do it. And then, oh man, I'm gonna feel so great. So that shifts your perception. It helps your self-assurance because now it's like you start to move. The minute you make that decision and you take even one step, it's like you can focus on, you know what? I'm a champion. I'm a champion. The minute you make that decision, you can start to focus on that. I did that as a kid, be a bodybuilder or whatever. Like, so you just need to find these things, or you know what? I'm picking this stuff up so good. I've only been on the job site for like 3 months or whatever, and already like I've got guys underneath me. I'm smart. I'm smart that way. I may not be smart at everything, but I'm smart at this. And you just keep finding ways to flip every experience in a way that is empowering to you. And when you can do that, as you get better and better at that, your self assurance is going to grow because it's like, wow, I can be in any situation and feel good, and I can uplift myself and I can uplift others. So then self assurance just becomes just a natural state of being because you have so much confidence in your ability to reframe every single situation. So to your original question, that's what I would say. I would say start practicing right away. Like how can I flip this situation that maybe I haven't felt the best about up to this point in a way that is more empowering, and practice it now and practice it tomorrow and practice it every day until you start to get better and better and better at it to become natural so that you start to look every situation like that, and then your self-assurance is just going to be second nature, right? And people make it so complicated, but it is that easy, right? I mean, you have to commit, make a commitment that, you know what, I'm going to focus on loving myself, developing that self-assurance, those big three that Ben and Willow have talked about all this time. And I'm going to start by in the morning patting myself on the back saying, you know what, you're not perfect, but you're a good person. You're a good person. Let's see what we can do with today,
Hmm,
and just do
I
that
like
every
that.
day.
Yeah, that was a really good answer. I think yeah, I mean, that's the thing is we talk so much about like, oh, love yourself and accept yourself, but it's like the issue isn't the desire to love yourself. The issue is I am a flawed person. like how do you move past that? It's like I'm a flawed person. It's the roadblock between you and being able to accomplish that thing. And I feel like all the things that we talk about, every time we talk about like you need to love yourself, it you just bash your head against it harder and harder and harder. I can't imagine how many people have listened to these episodes and been like I wish we'd talked about it sooner. How many people have been like, how do I love myself? How do I love myself when I'm a flawed person? And so I'm glad we finally talked about it. Maybe we've talked about it a bit before, but
I think we've talked about it different ways, but again, like I don't want to. This was never meant to be like just a we're like listen to our podcast so we can sell you a bunch of shit. But the reality is, I mean, we have a platform where we can support people, we can help them. We have the tools, we have the Everyday Guide journal that's coming out now. We have the modules, like a step by step process, a very simple step by step process. I do
mhm,
one-on-one coaching. There's a million ways that people can get support, but it's that's all we're really doing in all of this is simplifying how you look at yourself and your life and helping you to find better ways of reframing things, right? The
yeah.
happiness line, a highlight reel, and an empowering mantra. If you had those three things that we've talked about like again for forever, you know, understanding the happiness line that if I'm not happy, there's a problem. Let's deal with it right now. A highlight reel, having those things in your mind that always make you feel good that, oh, I'm not feeling so good. But you know what? I remember, that I'm going to meet with my girlfriend later. That always makes me smile. Oh, now I'm above the line. Just
Mhm,
something that always just like, I only got a second. What's going to lift me up? Hands up, chin down, no pain. I'm tough. Onwards and upwards. Like it's
yeah.
simple, but you have to commit, and that's where people make a where that's where people slip up is they don't commit. Just commit, just
Mhm,
commit. And if you're having trouble
yeah.
committing, again, just reach out, right, and we'll help you commit.
Mhm. Yeah, I mean, I think if nothing else, like this podcast has had its ups and downs, absolutely. Like we had a little bit of a hiatus, we've had like a lot of people listening, we've had no people listening, we've had, like, but we've been going for 6 years. Has it been 6 years? We started in 2019, right?
2019.
Yeah.
Oh wow, no kidding.
Yeah,
Yikes.
I
Wow.
know. So like whatever whatever you are dealing with, know that you have people here that despite, COVID, despite, us being sick or being off or not feeling great or, having nobody listening and me going, shit, we have a podcast nobody's listening to, or, like we're here doing the exact same thing we did 6 years ago, but better. And next year it'll be better. And the year after that, it'll be better. I mean, if anything, you know that we are not giving up on you. We're not giving up on your journey. We're not giving up on what we're building together. And we've been building all these resources as a team for 6 years. You've been building them for 30, maybe more. Um, and these are tools for you. I mean, again, at no point have we been like, buy our products. Hey, if you need products, this for 5 easy payments, 5.99. That's not it. But the products do exist, the things do exist, the program is all set up. You sign up, you go through it on your own, you go through it with facilitation, you can get one-on-one coaching with Mr. Trainer Ben, you can buy the journal and do this work yourself. There's any kind of way that you need to do this work. If you need our support, you can do it. You can send us a message, you can DM us, you can ask us, hey, can you talk more about self-love on the podcast, and we'll do it. Like it's
Sure.
any way that you need us, we are there for you. We can be there for you. So if you're like, I don't know where to start, think about how you best need support, how we can best be there for you. Check out our website and email us, contact us. If the journal is what you need, we'll get you the journal. If the program is what you need, we'll get you the program, whatever it is. Um, I mean, that's what we're here for. That's what we've been doing for ages. That's what we'll be doing for ages. And all of this is really about you. I mean, I don't think, we have meetings, obviously, we are a company, never in any meeting has it been like, well, our profit margin, well, our quota, well, the amount of money. I don't remember ever speaking about that, because at the end of the day, what we're building is your health, your happiness. Like, that's what it is.
Well, even beyond that, though, I got to say, I mean, from my perspective, what I'm, what like I say, we've been doing it for 6 years, and for me, again, I got to make sure I don't cry here, right? But for me to have one, I've been in a place in my life where I was like, I wonder if I'm ever going to see my daughter again. To be able to, just talk about life to
Mm-hmm.
people. If I never made any money or whatever, it's like, and we did this forever, I'd be a very happy man. Because
Yeah.
what else can I say?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's pretty awesome. Like, I've always said this, and I actually had a conversation with my landlord, I think last year or
We
something.
have to wipe
Because
my
I'm trying not to look at you because you're gonna make me cry.
eyes.
He was like, "Oh, I wish I could like," because we were talking about the podcast. He was like, "I wish I had those kinds of conversations with my dad." And I was like, "You know what? Even if you never like, don't publish an episode, don't plan to publish an episode, but to just have those conversations and record them, like, there's gonna come a day where your kids grow up and he's not there anymore, and they're gonna be like, what was grandpa's life like? Like, remember, oh my gosh, and I know we're like going on a bit of a tangent, but I remember you wrote this wonderful article about grandpa when he passed away, and I
Script.
was like, sorry,
I wrote a script, a whole movie script.
really? All I remember seeing was the post that you made on Facebook, and I was like, he did that? He did that? He believed in this? He was what? Like, how do you record these things? How do you record a life if you don't talk to these people, right?
Now me and Dad, because I actually wrote a whole script, a full movie script called
Wow.
Muenda, based on Dad's life. But I sat down and I take notes, and you talk to me, and I just asked him things about his life. So I really got to know his life and really appreciate things that I didn't know. Like, I mean, I was like, how old was I? I was like about 40-ish at the time, or maybe a little bit younger. But I was almost 40, and I'm learning things about my dad I never knew, right?
Yeah.
And yeah, so but I think like I say, this kind of this the podcast, I mean, as much as it whatever else it is, it's just such an amazing opportunity to just hang out with you.
Hmm. Yeah, gives us a chance to chat every week and have something new to chat about and learn more about each other. And yeah, I couldn't be more grateful to be doing it with you. I mean,
And
it's
share
awesome.
real life lessons. And I gotta say, we totally got off topic.
We totally did. But you know what? I always think like if we veer off track, I have to believe it's for a reason. I have to believe that somebody's listening to this episode. And if we did go on to talk about all the things we went on to, like we wanted to talk about, they would have been like, that's not applicable to me because I can't get past step one where I'm supposed to love myself. I
Yeah,
cannot get past it. So I have to believe that there is somebody out there listening who would not have been able to get past that first step until we talked about this.
that's
So, I
true.
mean, I'm sure we'll talk about these other things in another episode, but this episode was for somebody and I mean, I hope that this helped. I hope that you're feeling better at the end of this hour long ramble about stuff.
Well, like I say, we've been doing it for 6 years, like with a bit of a hiatus and stuff like that, but we'll just keep going. So eventually, and here's the thing, you know, hopefully we'll start to bring on more guests and people, like I say, will throw their questions out there. And this is what I would like you to talk about. This is my concern, and we can answer them, and we can talk with them, and we can create that dialogue, which is so much of what the Everyday Guy journal is about, and all the work that we're so many of the other things that we're doing. So yeah, that interaction
Huge.
is huge, right? And I'm
Yeah.
looking forward to people engaging more. And so,
Yeah. So on that note, you can find us almost anywhere. We're absolutely everywhere. We're in your backyard, peering through your window. So you can reach us on Instagram. We're at Everyday Guy IG. We're on well, if TikTok's still available in your country, we're on TikTok, we're on YouTube, we're on Facebook. You can email us at lovinggoliath@gmail.com if you have anything you want us to talk about. And I mean, yeah, comment, talk to us. We're here for you. And thank you for joining us as always.
Thank you for joining me, Willow.
Thank you for joining me. We'll talk to you next week.